Do you know, do you have any outtakes? And those outtakes are so funny. Do you have any more stuff for the DVD?
The DVD is loaded with all sorts of amazing stuff. One of which is what we call the Bizarro cut. We made another version of the film made up almost entirely of material that's not in the original film. So the DVD audience will get to have a whole other evening of Wanderlust, beginning to end, with all different stuff.
Does it even make any sense?
Not so much more or less than the actual movie does.
Because you've got such an amazingly talented cast, is it really hard to edit that down into one movie anyway, right?
Well, I mean, it only took 18 months.
It's very difficult because you have a lot of people doing a lot of funny stuff, and so sometimes you have to lose some really funny babies in because you're trying to stick to the story and trying to keep it
babies
moving.
being a metaphor for things you like.
No, we lost some actual babies on the head. We had to lose some
but
babies.
we ended up finding them later. They were out
fine.
back. They were playing at there's like a little playground out back, and they had found themselves each other, and they were fine.
And then we sold them.
They were hungry.
Sure.
But they were fine.
Good stuff. So maybe talk a little bit about why you wanted to write a movie about a hippie commune and why that's relevant all the way around the world today.
To me, it was less about that it's relevant today, although that became interesting as we were researching it more. But I've just always been fascinated by the notion of that kind of life where people live together like we all did maybe in college or at summer camp or other times in your life where you're really more of part of a group than you are just your own self or your own family, your own actual family. And so I always loved that movie Together from Sweden that was made in 2000, I think. And
it's about a commune in the 70s.
Yeah. And it was just fun. We just thought it would be a really fun place also to do comedy and have people that we love as actors come together and have this conflict between a couple from the city and these people living a different way, and having people like us question our own lives when they see other people so happy living differently.
So can you talk about why Paul and Jen were so great for these roles?
I mean, when we wrote it, the person we had in mind for George was Paul all along, and the idea of Jen playing Linda was, a hope. We had a dream that we could maybe get her, but we didn't know her. So, but when we wrote it, we had them in mind. I mean, certainly Paul in mind for it when we wrote it, and then when we went through our list of like who would we absolutely love to play Linda, Jen was the top of the list, and we got lucky and we got her, and thank goodness, because their chemistry together and the fact that they've known each other for so long helps so much, because there's a playfulness and a love for each other that they've had for years. So that only informs those characters and helps it out enormously.
Also, it's quite surprising that she can be so risque, which we love to see her do.
Yeah. Well, I think, she really jumped into when she read the script and saw all the insanity, and there's how it sometimes gets raunchy, and she was very enthusiastic and was like, hey, why not, And then we all went to Georgia, to northwest Georgia in the mountains in the middle of nowhere, and it was like this, even though it was a big production for Universal, it really felt like just a small group of friends running around making a movie.
We had those karaoke on set and everyone was really bonding.
Yeah?
That is true, yes. We sang a lot of karaoke. When you're in a small town and there's, not, a lot of the restaurants and places close down very early, it makes for a good time to all get together and have kind of communal little moments at different places, at different people's houses, and just kind of bond and get to know each other.
And I think it's not unusual for the story of the movie to reflect in the story of making the movie. Certainly in Wet Hot American Summer, it was about a summer camp, and everyone in the cast and crew lived on that camp and ate the camp food and slept in the bunks. And here it was a commune of people all working very intensely together, just like in the movie, and then just getting to know each other incredibly well, and just made hopefully the camaraderie off screen emanates on screen.
I love the fact there's no boundaries and there's no door on the bathroom. That's like one of my worst recurring nightmares.
Yeah.
Where did you get the inspiration for that?
We were just, when we were writing it, just was a joke that kind of came up, and then we kind of grabbed onto that, and and started kind of placing it all throughout the script. But I remember when Paul read the script the first time, that was the scene that he was like, that scene's the one I really...
I think it's funny too. We were looking at the house that we shot in. You know, we didn't shoot on sets. We shot all on location, and we kept looking like, all right, well, I guess that we can just take that door out, and that we can turn into a doorway, but no doors. Remember, we kept having to remind ourselves there's no doors.
So can you also talk about Justin Theroux playing the bearded guru guy? Why are gurus always kind of nefarious at the end of the day?
Because power corrupts. I think. I mean, it's really the reason, I think, is people are drawn to those positions, I think, who want power. And I think the addiction to power is an addiction. And somebody like Seth, I think, is more interested in controlling other people than anything else. And
how was Justin right for the role, do you think?
Well, we had worked with Justin.
You do the math.
Yeah, we had worked with Justin on a movie we wrote called The 10, and then you had worked with him on some other stuff.
I was with him in the cast with him in the Baxter, which is one of the things we remember was seeing him in the Baxter, and he was sort of like this better than life, but ultimately jerky guy, and so this character was almost an explosion of that, you know.
But he's such an amazing actor, and so when we worked with him on The 10, and we got to work with him directly, he was wonderful. And so when we started writing this, we kept thinking, okay, well, who would be a good Seth? And actually, when we wrote it, we called him, the character's name was Justin, because we
just had him in mind.
We had him in mind from the beginning, and then we changed it to Seth, and then we were like, well, let's go get Justin. Let's see if Justin will do it. And he said yes. So we were very lucky in that sense.
You also have, you have an amazing cast with Joe LaTrulia, Catherine Hahn, Alan Elder. You obviously it was scripted, but was there improv as well?
Lots of improv. We learned, we really got a system where we knew we had these amazingly talented people, and so we had a script, but it was really a daily, exciting task to let them have a freedom and build a comfort zone so that they could just go off, you know, within the confines of just what the point of the scene is. And so you let any of those that you mentioned, Joe, Catherine Hahn, Alan Alda, just say, okay, this take, action, just whatever comes to mind. And then sometimes the most amazing things come. And then in the edit room, you can pick and choose what's best, you know. And we learned a lot about how to take that even further by working with Judd Apatow as a producer, because he's really developed a system to create that comfort zone and take the time to get that kind of stuff.
Originally, Joe